The reason you're not getting the views you want is because you're making the wrong content. You're using outdated strategies that don't work anymore, and you're making 3 more major mistakes I'm going to share with you toward the end of this video. You need to stop making these mistakes now because it's the beginning of the year and it's time to get a solid strategy so you can build your business with your content instead of posting random reels that get you few views and no money. Let's start with the content you need to stop posting and the content you need to start posting instead. The content that gets the most reach right now, carousels and reels. But not just any carousel posts. These carousel posts either need to tell an inspirational story or they need to contain video that demonstrate your point, just like this one posted by a student in my program. It's an educational carousel and each video slide demonstrates a different point. Now, don't make the mistake of only posting carousel posts or only posting reels. You want to post a combination of both. Check out what happens when I go to search something on Instagram. See how there's way more carousel posts than there are reels, which tells us that if you start posting carousel posts, you increase your chance of landing on the Explore page when someone searches a specific phrase. I recommend you post 1 carousel post a week and 2 reels a week if you're in a maintenance mode. You just want to maintain what you already have. But if you're in a growth season, I recommend you post 2 carousels and 3 reels a week. Now let's discuss what you're actually going to talk about in these carousels and reels posts. The biggest mistake I see when it comes to reels content is people jump on trends or they rely only on trending audio to get views and eyeballs on their content, instead of taking the time to actually see what drives views, engagement, and eventually sales from their ideal people. So how do you do that? First, you need to take some time to see what type of content is getting on the Explore page in your industry. Then you want to go look at the top viewed videos of people in your industry. What are their topics, their hooks, and the length of the video? You can have a great topic, but if you have a weak hook or your video is too long and you can't hold them till the end, you have ruined your views. One way to improve your hooks, besides looking at what other successful hooks are out there, is to interview your ideal people. Because if you want to grab their attention, you need to know how they are wording their problems, their desires, their biggest needs. I like to interview at least 5 people on Zoom, so it's recorded, and I ask these specific questions. What is your biggest struggle with your niche? Why? So they give you some more words and phrases. Then I ask, if you had a perfect day in your business, what would that look like? Now we know what their desires are. Then I ask, if there was a solution to your problem, what do you think it would be? Now we know what they think they need to solve their problem. It may not be the right thing, but at least you know what it is so that you can address it in a reel. And I like to ask what their biggest fear is about that thing. That way we can call out their pain points in the first 2 seconds of our video and grab their attention. Use those exact words and phrases at the beginning of your video and in the first slide of your carousel posts. The next way to get content ideas for your ideal person is ChatGPT. Here's a prompt I want you to try. I'm going to grow a following on Instagram by giving whatever kind of tips you give, in this case, money saving tips. My ideal follower is, describe your ideal follower. In this case, I'm saying the parent of a college student or a college student who wants to graduate from college debt free. Then say, give me 7 topics to post about and hit send. So it just gave me 7 content pillars or content buckets for this particular niche. And it even gives a description of how they can post content under these different content pillars. Next, go in and ask, what are the 3 biggest mistakes for each of these topics, and hit send. And there it is. It is now breaking down under each of those 7 topics, the biggest mistakes. Now you're going to take these 3 mistakes under each topic and come up with specific content ideas. Copy this here in ChatGPT. They make it really easy. Just hit copy and then go into your Notes app and paste it so you have it for future use. The next big mistake that's keeping you from getting the views you want, using outdated Instagram strategies that don't work anymore. For instance, relying heavily on hashtags. Even the head of Instagram says using hashtags will not get you more views.
Not really. They do help us to understand what a post is about, which means it might be more likely to show up in a place like a hashtag page, for instance. But in general, no, I wouldn't try to think of hashtags as a way to get more distribution.
I haven't been using hashtags in months, and I'm actually getting better views than I did when I was using hashtags. So instead of using hashtags, you're going to use this strategy. Use keywords. More and more people are now using social media sites like Instagram and TikTok to look up questions to their answers. And because of that, the algorithms are now being programmed to prioritize keywords. And that means you need to have keywords not only in the very beginning of your video to grab your ideal person's attention, you need to have them peppered through your content so you're telling the algorithm what your content is about and who it's for so it gets in front of the right people. Here's where you want to locate these keywords. They need to be in the hook title, the text on the screen right when your video comes up. They need to be coming out of your mouth in the first 2 seconds. They need to be in the caption underneath the video. And they also need to be represented in this little trick I'm about to show you. Upload your video to Reels, then go in and go to text. And in the white font, you are going to text your keywords or key phrases that are related to this video. So in this reel, I would put Reels ideas, Reels mistakes, Reels tips, Reels review, video marketing tips. Then I hit done. And now I'm going to minimize this until it's a little tiny white speck and put it way up here in the corner so no one sees it except the algorithm. I have been doing this on my last several reels and I have noticed an uptick in my views. The next outdated strategy you have to ditch this year if you want to increase your views is telling people to click the link in your bio. You are telling them to leave your content and leave the platform, which means you are killing your engagement. In fact, research shows when people say or post link in bio, it can plummet their engagement by 57%. So instead, you want to keep them on that piece of content and tell them to comment a specific word so that you can send them that link in their DMs. Now you've got people engaging with comments on your post and they're landing in your DMs. Not only does this rack up engagement points for your Instagram account, it also increases the chances of those people seeing your next post. You can manually send them that link into their DMs, or you can get a program like ManyChat, which will automatically respond to those comments and send the link to their DMs. The next mistake you need to avoid making if you want to increase your views this year is looking at the wrong analytics. So often, people think if a reel got more views than usual, it's doing well. But what they're not looking at, comments, replays, saves, shares. If you want that reel to continue to get views for days, even weeks to come, you need people to be watching and rewatching and sending that reel to other people. So it's important that you're looking at the replays, you're looking at the shares, and if you have it, you want to be looking at the retention rate. That's telling you how many people on average are leaving your video at a certain point. Now, if your video is short, meaning 5 to 12 seconds, you better be getting a 100% or more retention rate, or it's not going to be shown to many people. If you have a longer video, the retention rate does not have to be as long for that reel to be successful. Let me give you an example. This recent reel has 359,000 views, more than my average views. When I go to click the analytics, I can see that it has reached 214,000 plus of non-followers, people who are not following me. Why is that? That's because it has over 109,000 replays. And if I scroll down, I can see that it has been shared 312 times. When I look at the average watch time or the retention rate, it's 15 seconds. Now this reel is 26 seconds long. So while it's not 100% retention rate, it is more than 50% on a 26-second video. So that means the algorithm wants to send it to more people because it knows it's keeping people on the app. The next mistake you need to stop making if you want more views is posting at the wrong times. Specifically, don't post on the hour or on the half hour because most people are scheduling their content to go out on the hour or on the half hour. So if you are also posting at those times, you are going up against a lot more posting competition, which means your post is more likely to get buried and not seen at those times. You also want to go into your analytics and see what the peak times are for your followers to be on the app, but you don't don't want to post right at that peak time. Instead, you want to post within a half hour or hour before that peak time so that your content is already there waiting to be watched when your followers log on. Speaking of your followers, did you know that if you get your followers to engage with your stories, that can increase the views of the content you post on your feed? Which brings me to our next mistake. You've got to stop posting lazy stories in your Instagram stories, meaning stop just resharing your posts or sharing other people's posts. If you want people to engage with your stories so that you increase the views on your other content, you've got to have a solid stories strategy that gets people wanting to go to your stories on a daily basis. And if you want my complete Instagram stories strategy that gets me 95% of my sales, you need to watch this video right here. I got this entire strategy that's worked for me for the last 4 years from Chip and Joanna Gaines.